is Lila's Bedtime Stories with Val and Lila. I'll be reading Your Dream Vision from Dwayne, the great writer. And we have two special guests on tonight, too. One. Okay, the other one didn't turn up. Okay, he had to cancel, so sorry about that. But we do have one. Val, would you introduce this guest?
Yeah, this is Tim. Tim's going to be on with us tonight. Tim's from Oregon. He's one of the new friends, and I've had a lot of experiences with Tim in the past with mining and looking for gold and treasure hunting, but we're both into what Dwayne's presenting, and we thought we'd have Tim on to share how he found Dwayne and what his experiences have been, maybe some real side experiences or just thoughts about what has been going on with Tim since he found Dwayne and up to the point where he did find Dwayne, maybe some of his history. So that's later in the show. Right now, here's Lila.
Yes, Your Dream Vision, Book 6. I'll just pick up where I left off last time. Dreams are known as far back in the beginning of mankind's history, when he began to produce manuscripts that told of his life and adventures. Along with the mystery of his dreams, there was always been an interest in one's dreams, until the rep systems came, more controlling and domineering, and began suppressing all the vital information on dreams, and even keeping it hidden only for themselves. Most people sought someone who had the understanding of their meaning. The oldest book known on dream visions is the Egyptian Book of Dreams. It was introduced around the approximate time of the 12th dynasty, BC. This book is in the British Museum and was written by Gopal. He worked with one of the scribes in the court of Sesostris, the pharaoh of Egypt, to transcribe the knowledge of dreams at that time. Gopal is one of the many universal guides that works with the new man. As I have shared many experiences with him and others in the new students, we'll meet with Gopal, Ravzar, and Paul. Dreaming, first of all, from this physical level, is basically the unconscious mind's way of satisfying its secrets and many hidden wishes and desires. What is contained in the subconscious of each person is what they have decided and created as their reality. Here is where all of us become our own truth. There are endless truths everywhere in life, and it is the right of each person to decide theirs. The confusions of what is being experienced on the earth at this time is each person is right in their own position. To the many reasonable minds of this world, what I am referring to would seem out of place. But once a person has real experiences and is able to position themselves with the true reality, the is, then they will recognize the ultimate value of free will. It may sound funny, but even those who are always planning or on destroying others have the right to do so I am not agreeing with what they are doing, but merely pointing to the real fact of free will. As a person becomes more aware, they will learn about the natural reality of cause and effect, which is labeled as karma. As a person positions themselves with the true reality, they are no longer interested in any of the old destructive ways of the human consciousness. And they learn to evolve and excel themselves into what I term the real universes of pure light. The unconscious area is what the metaphysicians call the subconscious, and what is really known as the etheric level, the fifth body of man, because the average person has been educated with limited experience and is not aware even enough to know of their other vehicles that they carry around with them. It only makes sense. Most people do not understand the etheric level and how it relates to the human mind and body, and especially your dream visions. This area is a vast unknown and a great mystery to the authorities. Those who are trapped in their human minds and heads, yet they proclaim they alone are always making headway into unveiling its consciousness and resources. Nothing could be further from the truth that they have imagined for themselves. But I will say, what they come up with sounds so convincing, so they do get acknowledgement, or at least trying. The idea here is this: as it is in my construction business, I tell people what I can and cannot do. I do not theorize that to them, but provide a real service. In the official authorities, they would get off their illusionary ideals and test what I am presenting here. The real guides would work with them and show them what really is happening in a person's dream visions. This is not rocket science that I am presenting, but more so something wonderful, fun, and most of all, real simply tested. We can all test this. Do you want to introduce one of our friends?
Sure. Okay, so thank you, Lila, for the reading. I just want to mention that you read about Gopal Das. He's one of the real guides, and he's one of the guides that actually helps people helps mankind in different ways, and he helped with writing. He had a hand in writing this book, the Egyptian book of the dream book here, in terms of interpreting dreams. There was a guide that helped mankind with helping them create fire, find fire. Dwayne, the great writer now, this is great of a step as bringing fire into to man, because we're right now in this time in history, we can make a huge jump from religion and spiritual paths into recognizing the real reality, which is the is. So it's an exciting time, and one of the persons, the free beings of light who recognizes this is Tim here from Oregon. So we wanted to talk to him and see how he's doing and what's up. And maybe, Tim, you can introduce yourself and talk about how you found Dwayne. Good to have you.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I am a prospector at the present with the purpose to try to be helpful in creating some of the projects that Dwayne has expressed that sound like they make sense to me to do, like the all-solar research vessel and the universal university and the new home school for the children to learn about what's real. I was just going back a little bit to when I came across the NuPresentation. I was trying to find out about a person that calls himself Lord Sioux here in the Grants Pass, Oregon area, because I knew a young lady that was involved with him. He was in an Eckankar corporation for like 30 years, and then he decided or said that, from what I was gathering from what he was saying, that I was seeing on the information about him, is that his master, Harry Klemp, told him, he says, that he had gone as far as he could go with him and that he could go on his own. And so he was doing his own teaching stuff about telling people that we're all gods in the making. But anyway, when I was looking at the information about him, there was other things that were in the same location on the tablet that talked about Eckankar, which I was involved with for about 6 years. So from about 2010, I became interested in Eckankar because I had found a book that Paul Twitchell had wrote called The Ekvijaya. And I read it, and I was very interested in what Paul was saying about yugas and all kinds of things that I was kind of fascinated with, interested in all these things he was writing in this Ekvijaya book. And it happened to be that there was other books by him in the house too, because the woman that I'd lived with for like 15 years had passed away, and she had the books from an elderly lady, I guess, that she was helping occasionally, and I didn't pay any attention to them, but there they were. They started showing up, these books called the Shariat Ki Sugma, Book 1 and Book 2, and Letters to Gail, and there was like 4 or 5, so I started paying attention and reading them and read them. And I got in touch with the Eckankar Corporation. And I was going to what's called satsang groups. We only had like 6 people here in the Grants Pass area, but then there was others in the Southwest Oregon and Medford and Ashland and around, and we'd have some get-togethers. And I was studying these discourses that were being provided. We'd get together once a month, or was it once every 2 weeks, to have a satsang meeting and discuss the discourses that we were studying. And it was all interesting to me, and because I'd been through many things before this Eckankar stuff in my life, the Rosicrucian order, and I was real interested in a particular book that the head of the Rosicrucian order had wrote. H. Spencer Lewis is his name, and he wrote a book called Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life. And so I had lived that lifestyle, tried to fit into these cycles, fortunate times of the day to do certain things and unfortunate times to do certain things. And so you try to test this stuff out and see if it works, which I had a feeling of confidence going by these cycles. And it has to do with the moon phases and the tides, and a person's birth date stuff. But anyway, it was all pretty important to me, and I would try to fit into these cycles. There's 7 every day, and they're like 3 hours and 20-some minutes or something. And there's positive and negative every 3.5 hours about. And then you have a positive moon 3.5 days before the moon's full, and a negative moon 3.5 days after the moon. And then you fit that in with the cycles of the daily cycles. So you'd have 3.5 hours positive and 3.5 hours negative and 3.5 hours positive. But that's how the cycles went. So if you had a positive moon and a positive cycle, and the description of the things that we're fortunate to do during that particular time, that would be very beneficial. But anyway, I was living that stuff in my life,